Okay, we're going to assume that's God singing through Kenneth. That lyric is God singing through Kenneth. And today's on healing. The theme today is for healing. And the talk is called A Spiritual Realization. Spiritual Realization. Myrtle Fillmore, Unity's co-founder, says in How to Let God Help You, the kingdom of heaven within heals every cell and system. When you come into a spiritual realization, as you do in the silence, expect it to go down into the depths of your body consciousness and do its powerful and perfect work. That which has quickened our souls and given us the joyous sense of freedom will work in every cell of our bodies to give them that same wonderful sense of wholeness and freedom. When I came into Unity, I heard things that I hadn't really heard before, but I knew they were true. And they told me all healing was possible. They didn't tell me I'd never get sick, but they told me all healing was possible. And as I looked at this, I've been pondering all week long about a spiritual realization. What is a spiritual realization? And it occurred to me what it is. It's a God thought, which is different than a thought of God. A thought of God is of the intellect. A thought of God is my education. I can think about God all day long and not affect one change in my life. But a God thought, and so. As I thought that, I had that realization, I thought, oh, okay, so how do I manufacture those? So I took it right to the intellect so that I can have healing all the time. God thoughts come about as a result of a spiritual practice, as a result of a desire for God thoughts for the sake of knowing my connection. They don't come about as a result of trying to get well. When I'm trying to get well, I'm focused on sickness. When I'm trying to get money, I'm focused on lack. When I'm trying to fix my relationship, I'm focused on inharmony. When I'm trying to get the world to change, I'm focused on what's wrong with the world. My healings come as the result of a God thought. And I know I've talked about this many, many times over the years, and some of us still haven't accepted it. It's not that we don't get it. It's that we haven't accepted it. We have not yet accepted that God does not see a problem here. God is not a person with judgments or opinions. God is not a perceiver of my problems. If God could see my problem, God would be my problem. God is love. God is wisdom. God is truth. God is light. God is peace. God is joy. Nowhere was I taught God is unhappiness. God is misery. God is poverty. God is love. And so God sees what God is. So you see, when we look around the world and we recognize what's wrong in the world, I'm making that up. And what I'm really doing is contributing to what's wrong in the world. I'm maintaining the problem by focusing on it. Helping those poor people. I understand being of service to everyone. But if I have a thought, I'm helping them because they're less fortunate than I am. There, but for the grace of God go I. My ego's just running rampant. And I'm not having a God thought. I'm having a thought about God. I'm not asking God to be revealed through me. I'm telling God what God is, and I'm telling myself a story of actually what God isn't. And it breaks my heart a little bit to find out God isn't what I thought God was. And on the other hand, what a relief that God isn't nearly as limited as what I was brought up to think God was. Thank God, God is not so limited. That God isn't so small, so petty, so childish. thank heaven that God is not that thing that decides, well, you get this, and you get this, and you get this, you get this, you get this. Doesn't matter what you think, doesn't matter what you say. You were bad, so you get this. There's none of that. No bad in God. But in my spiritual evolution, as we'll say, I began to desire God thoughts more than I desired thoughts about God. Now, I've got to start somewhere, and it starts with thoughts about God. Find every positive, affirmative thought you can have about God in order to interrupt the other thoughts. To interrupt the story that says you're not enough, you're stupid, you're fat, you're ugly, you're bald, you're unloved, you're unlovable, you're unsupported, you're unsupportable, whatever, those thoughts that you may not be aware that you're having, but it's time to pay attention. In your spiritual evolution, it's time to pay attention to what thoughts you're thinking. And not to just, but I should, no. Why? Every healing I've ever had came as a result of a God thought. I've not yet had healings as a result of thoughts of God. And I've had lots of healings in my life. And I still will go back to the intellect to try to heal. I will still do it because it's habitual and it's okay. But I am assured of my good. I am absolutely assured of it. That's what I love when I came into Unity and some stuff before that. I heard I was good. I was good. And I hadn't heard that nearly enough around my house when I was a kid. But it made sense when I heard God has better things in store for you than anything you could ever imagine. I believed that, oh boy, did that make sense. As I've said before, I could imagine some pretty wild things. But they weren't of spirit. They were of the flesh. They were of the world. Because I couldn't imagine serenity at that point. And suddenly I started to experience serenity because I began to desire God's will for me more than I desired physical satisfaction. More than I desired cars, more than I desired houses, more than I desired... And I like sparkly stuff, Lord knows. But I don't confuse it with who and what I am. I don't confuse that anymore. Or at least when I do, I pay attention. I don't have to beat myself up when I'm not manifesting the way I think I ought to be. The way that I know I can. And when I talk about manifestation, what I'm talking about is manifesting peace in my life. Manifesting joy in my daily experience. Manifesting harmony in my relationships. I don't need you to change for me to have a harmonious relationship with you. You can stand and scream at me all day long, but I can still be living in harmony with you. That's the cool part. Isn't it wonderful that they don't have to change for me to stand and love them? Because I'm having God thoughts about them. I'm having God thoughts about myself. I don't have to fear confusion. There's lots of confusion in the world. Some of it's physical and some of it's invisible. It's still, in our house every now and then I feel something or other up, and I just speak to it in love. I just speak to it in love, and I set it to a light or whatever, and the confusion calms down. Because otherwise, I'm going to buy into it, and I'm going to become confused. We're putting together Reverend Yolanda's new show, and we're talking about that our problem has never been our bullies. Our problem has never been our parents, which may also have been our bullies. Our problem has never been our government. Our problem has never been the teachers who were confused, our religions. That's never been our problem. My problem has been anytime I agreed with them. Anytime I agreed, even as a tiny little boy, if I agreed with the people who were confused, then I got confused. Well, I can forgive that. I can let that go. I don't have to justify my resentment because they didn't know better. I have the opportunity today to know better. I have a place like Unity to go to. I have friends to go to. I know the books to pick up. And I know how to meditate and I know how to pray effectively. I know because I practiced. And I hear people say, but I don't know how to meditate. I can't meditate. Baloney. Baloney. You sit there like this. This is how I learned to meditate. I sat down, I went, and then I took a thought, the Christ in me is awake now. Just a silent thought. And then I took on another thought on the in-breath, God is. And another thought on the out-breath, I am. And then in the middle of those is, I wonder what I'm having for dinner tonight. God is. I am. Can't believe she said that to me. Oh, God is. I am. And that's meditation. Set a kitchen timer for 5 minutes, and you will be baked. Meditation isn't about being zenned out. Meditation is the willing to sit there for the whole 5 minutes and have as many God thoughts as you can. Because you don't know at what moment in the silence between the grocery list, between the resentment list, between the vacation planning, when God seeps in. And 6 hours later, you know things that you didn't know before. So don't tell me you don't know how to meditate. I can't get quiet. I guarantee you for 1 millisecond, you'll be quiet. You will be still. And your life will change radically. And you won't know what did it. You won't be able to pinpoint the moment it happened. You may, if you get into the practice, you may start paying attention and be able to pinpoint moment here and there. But if you really pay attention, you say, oh no, I'd be upset by this. I'm not upset by this. What's up? What's up? Oh, I meditated today. I recommend you do it as early in the day as possible. As you put it off till later. So, oh, I'm so tired, I'll do it tomorrow. Well, you're not bad for that. You didn't disappoint God if you put it off till tomorrow. But you sure did let yourself down. You sure did rob yourself of an opportunity. And now you have no excuse for your misery. It's not your mother's fault, it's not your father's fault. And it's really not even your fault. It's just a lapse. A lapse of generosity to yourself. Imagine that. Oh, a lapse of generosity. Some of us, the past 40 years have been a lapse. A lapse of, oh, and then the ego comes in and says, yeah, aren't you stupid? You could have had 40 years of peace instead of the hell you've been going through. 40 years you have robbed yourself. Aren't you dumb? Aren't you bad? See, you can't meditate now. Oh, yes, I can. Christ in me is awake now. God is. Wonder what I'm having for dinner tonight. 40 years, 40 years. God is. See, the art of the meditation is the gently bringing yourself back to the mantra. If God is a problem, for a long time I did in on 1, out on 2, in on 3, out on 4. I never went higher than 4 because I don't need to, was I an 8, was I at 7? I don't need to start thinking about that. I have the grocery list to be thinking about resentments. I don't need to be thinking about counting. And so, in on 1, out on 2. If you don't like a closed eye meditation, I used to light a candle and I would just watch that flame. I said, dude, my God is, I am. There's all sorts of easy meditations to do. Not to become more religious, but to experience your peace, to experience your oneness, to experience the wisdom that is in you, to experience the love that loves you so much and is so willing for you to have all of your gifts. See, there's no one and no thing that is withholding a gift from us. No one and no thing. And the only reason I have ever withheld any of the gifts that have been for me is because I forgot. I forgot. I can access them right now. I can access all of my good. And most of all, I can access confidence right now. There's nothing to build confidence like manifestation. There's nothing to reinforce your assurance that you are good and that your life is good like a solid manifestation. You don't have to know where it comes from. Just, oh, this came. It's not, oh, God likes me so much that God gave me this balloon. Forget that now. God already likes you. God loves you. God's not worried about your problems. God doesn't care about your problems. You want to have problems. God doesn't have problems. And that's the love you'll experience today. God will not intervene. But would you intervene in your problems by deciding, I don't care to call this a problem today. Bob Kahn put together a marketing demonstration, really, is what it is. It's not a plan, it's a demonstration of where we seem to sit as an organization. And some of the wording in it, I took umbrage with. Some of the wording is like, because sometimes people like to say, this never happens. Well, it does happen sometimes. And nobody came to this. Well, 10 people came. 10 nobodies didn't come to this. And so, just to change our story. But you're not going to change your story unless you're without a God thought. You will not change your story with the thought of God. You will change your story with God thoughts. God thoughts are love, peace, joy, wisdom, truth, knowledge. God thoughts are the good that you are. A thought of God is, well, why is God good? Why is my life so good? That's thoughts about God. How is God love? That's thoughts about God. A God thought is God is love. And therefore, it is obviously that I am love. I don't know how I'm love, especially on certain days and in certain traffic. I do not know how I am love, but I am. It's the only logical conclusion. I want to read this to you. It comes from the Holy Spirit's interpretation of the New Testament. I recommend it. And this comes from Matthew chapter 8. And it says that Jesus is the symbol of healing. Jesus is the symbol of healing. For healing comes from the healed Son of God. The unhealed Son of God, or Son, cannot heal himself, but he can ask in faith and willingness. And the healed Son may heal on behalf of the parent. And then the one who has been healed may be used as a witness, so others will come to know that their own desire to be healed. So what if you looked at aspects of your life that have healed? And let that aspect be a witness to other compartments of your life that you have not yet witnessed the healing. Your experience is the whole kingdom, and you're looking to get it. Is the whole experience rather than using everybody around you. So there's an aspect, like I had instantaneous healing with the ankle, so I use that as an example for, so my relationship can be where it seems to be out of harmony. There's healing available in that. And my weight, there's healing available in that. How do I know this? Because I've already had one healing. And if one healing has taken place, all healing is possible. That's how my confidence begins to expand here. It says here, Jesus is the symbol of the healed Son of God, for the healed Son knows what healing is. It is oneness, where all are welcomed into the kingdom as one, and there is great joy. From within the seat of the kingdom, the Son knows who he is, and he is not forgotten. But outside of the seat, the Son is lost. We're talking about the prodigal son here. This is the Holy Spirit's interpretation here. But outside of the seat, the Son is lost, and so he is crying for his home, but knows not where he is. And think of yourself When you're at your most upset, you're most confused, you're crying to know who you are. And you think, but I can't. I've done such awful things. I'm not allowed to know who I am. Somebody has to tell me who I am. Somebody has to do it for me. And it's within us all the time. But would you have a desire to go home or to your seat of assurance? Think of that. I want to be in my seat of assurance today. Be not confused by those who say they can lead you, when you can see that they are lost. Hold not a grievance against them. Remember that a sick brother or sister does not know that they are sick. Forgive them their confusions, and pray to God that your sight may be made clear. One who practices his own will is not practicing the will of God. And it is God's will that brings healing. For it is your will that has made you sick. Lay down your will and ask only for God's. By knowing and practicing God's will, you shall be healed. Listen to my words and let my words reach into your heart. For the healthy part of your heart may be small, but its will is complete, and it wills with God. Listen to the healthy heart, and its health will spread, making your heart anew, and your strength will be rewarded with an unshakableness that brings eternal joy and knowledge. But listen not unto my words, and you shall hear the cries of your heart sickness, and sickness cannot lead to health. So you shall not know strength. In your weakness you will suffer, for weakness is not the will of your heart. Authority comes from God, because God is all there is. One who knows his own authority knows God. Would you be willing to know your own authority? Would you be willing to testify to yourself of any healings you have ever had? Any healing you have ever experienced? Every one of us in this room today learned how to walk when we did not know how to walk. Every one of us has healed from a head cold, from the flu, from a broken limb of some sort, from a broken heart. Every one of us has had healing after healing after healing. And the healing came because we had a God thought, whether we knew it or not. It is the only way to have your healing, is through a God thought. Healings don't happen by coincidence or by luck or because God was nice. Pay attention and admit, I have had God thoughts, whether I know it or not. I have had God thoughts, whether I know it or not. Would you say that with me? I have had God thoughts, whether I know it or not. See how easy it is to admit it? See how easy it is just to say the words. Obviously, I have had God thoughts. When I listen to that song that Kenneth sang, and I remember what I was taught in the beginning, that I believed that God is everywhere present because God is presence itself. God isn't just in what I like. God is in what I don't like. God is in what I fear. And God is in what's magnificent. God's in what's easy, and God is in what is hard. As I said, I am there. I am there, and I am there, and best of all, I am here. Would you consider accepting that I am is here? I am is here. I am is here. I am is here, and here, and here. I am is there, but I am is here where I stand. 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 I am is here where you sit. I am is there where we walk. I am is here in the music, as Kenneth said. I am is here. I am is here. I don't have to be afraid anymore. I will be. But I can do whatever I need to do in spite of it. I can show up and do what I need to do. If I have to get on the computer and I'm afraid of the computer, I can get on the computer. If I have to look at my taxes this year and I'm afraid, I can look at my taxes this year. If I have to look at my bank balance and I'm afraid, I can look at that. If I have to look at my debt, I can look at it despite the fear, because I am is here in the checkbook, and I am is here in QuickBooks. I am is here in my home, in my relationship. I am is here in the clothes that fit me and the clothes that don't fit me. I am is here in all of my thoughts, and all of my thoughts may be transformed so that I could recognize them as love, as guiding. You see, God's will for me isn't about getting more money while I'm here, getting a better house while I'm here. I can have those things. God's will is that I awaken to be happy, joyous, and free, and that I live in assurance all the time. Would you consider living in the assurance of your good all the time? That whatever's going on, well, this must be my good right now. Whatever is happening, this must be my good right now. So God, I'm willing to see it. And this must be my good. And this must be my good. And this must be my good. Thank God.